How is everyone doing today? My name is Joe and this is Ohio Wood Burner. Guys, first off, thanks so much for all of the positive comments about our 1,000 subscribers. I am still learning this whole YouTube thing, and I didn't even really know what that meant when we first got into filming these videos. I'm starting to get a good idea now. I just want you to know, everyone, how grateful I am for your support and all of the kind comments, and we hope to keep this going because it's been kind of fun. We are getting ready to go on a very short delivery. It's just right into town. It's 1/6 of a cord, and I'm serious. These smaller deliveries, there is money to be had with these smaller ones. You know, not only that, but they're a lot easier to load, a lot easier to unload, and you can get a good markup on these smaller quantities. That is what we got going on. Now we got to get into the truck. We're going to head into town and drop off this load of firewood. Before I started selling firewood, I worked for 22 years in the corporate world. I was a regional manager for a national auto parts sales chain. And then I went to management in a grocery store, and then in a call center environment. My background is in security, loss prevention, compliance, audit, and training. And I did that in those 3 areas. But that type of corporate lifestyle did prepare me for what I'm doing now. I think what you're seeing with Ohio Wood Burner is really a culmination of all the skills that I had picked up over the years. Now, I do have some skills that I think that help me out with this. And I think I'm pretty good at selling. And I was never in sales. I think my skill in selling it is making that emotional connection that we all have with firewood and bringing it to the customer. In the world of firewood though, guys, this is my kind of neighborhood. A lot of these nice houses, a nice suburban area, and they all have chimneys, which means they have fireplaces. So we're here at the customer's house, and this is a nice shaded area. And all the houses here are kind of close, and that's another selling point, emphasis on seasoned firewood. It smokes less, and you won't anger any of your neighbors. So this is going to be 1/6 of a cord. It's just going to go in between these 2 trees, and they're going to use it for their fire pit. I think my backstory has 3 parts to it. The first part is a hobby in firewood. You know, we got into firewood because I used to have apartments and duplexes, and we bought this one house off the bank, and it was really nice. It was out in the middle of a cornfield, no neighbors, so we moved into it. And what I didn't know at the time, it wasn't on the gas line, and we had to heat with propane. And our first winter, we got our first propane bill. This was back in 2003 when it was expensive, and we were just shocked. You know, we had this house that it was a big house. We would have never been able to afford it had we not bought it off the bank. So, you know, we were just going to fix it up, but we couldn't afford to heat it. And out in this area, everyone heats with firewood. They have those outdoor wood furnaces. So I bought one, and that's how I got started in firewood. I went and bought me a couple poolins from Walmart, and I made some friends with farmers, and they would call me when they would bulldoze fields, and I would drive my truck out and load them up and haul it home. I was probably burning 10 to 12 cords a year making firewood, and it was just fun. I just enjoyed it. It was a good workout, and I loved, you know, the challenge and the satisfaction of just bringing home all this wood. So we've been heating the house now. We had for 14 winters, and our gas bill for 14 years has been 0. And on top of that, we have the hottest shower in Northeast Ohio, and so the outdoor wood furnace has been a home run. But what I didn't realize what I was getting into was it was going to become a hobby and a passion and a lifestyle. Yeah, we're still getting used to the YouTube thing, and the guy comes out right when we're telling our life stories. We went ahead and got the wood delivered and stacked. He gave me a check, and we'll head on back to the wood yard now. What I was saying about my hobby of firewood, you know, I don't think there's anyone who's ever made a stick of firewood that hasn't thought about selling it. And when I was thinking of selling the wood that I had extra, I was looking around for what you could sell it for, you know, and it's like the going rate for firewood, no matter what time of the year, is $150 for a quart. And when I think about how much heat I could get for that $150, it was worth more to me as firewood than it was cash. Because if I were to take that cash and buy propane, I wouldn't be any farther ahead. So I just never sold firewood. But as the years went on, especially when I worked for that grocery store, and I started seeing how they take a commodity, you know, like that cantaloupe, and how they add value to it by selling it in a smaller quantity or cutting it into chunks. They're getting more per pound than what you can buy the entire cantaloupe for. And I started thinking, you know, there's got to be a way to do this with firewood. And that's when I started paying attention to the quantities that we sell firewood in, the difference between firewood as a commodity, you know, the stuff that just gets dumped onto the driveway, versus a nice, good-looking, value-added stick. And then the last part was the delivery. If we could professionalize delivery with professional trucks, uniformed employees, and make it a special occasion for the customer. So those were the elements of a firewood business that I had in my head that you know, I would one day actually put it together and get it going. So the first part of my story was my hobby of firewood. The second part was my professional training. I think my strength is from my professional training in management, being a people person, and I can see things from a systems level where I can put together a program and make it work. I'm blown away with the interest that people are taking with this channel, and I can't help but think that some of it is because a lot of you out there are or were in the same mindset that I was, you know, that you got this idea and you want to make it work. And the appeal, I think, with this channel is if I can do it, guys, I know you can, because I'm not a special business mind, you know. I have an interest and a passion. It's tough to make money in any business, and firewood is no different. But if you're smart about maximizing the profits in firewood, it can be done. Do not let anyone tell you that your idea is dumb, that it's not going to work, that you're wasting your time, because I heard every single one of those from people around me. You know, I would tell them about my plans on selling firewood. I had my one friend tell me, he says, yeah, selling firewood. He says, I got a guy up the road from me that sells firewood, and he has 7 washing machines in his front yard. Okay. And you know, that was when you listen to people, I think people do have good intentions. They want to protect you, though, from getting hurt. And I think that's where a lot of this negativity comes, to prevent you from making the decision like this. I didn't listen to them, and here I am. And then, oh, by the way, I drove up and bought all of the firewood off that guy with the washing machines in his front yard. And I resold it for a 100% markup. But that's not to say that I don't have supportive people in my life. Yes, I do. I have my wife, my kids, my sister's family. They have been very supportive. And we're back. And the third part of the story is, how did I get here? And I still, sometimes I don't know myself. It was a big set of circumstances. When I was kicking around the idea for selling firewood, you know, I thought I have to distinguish myself. So I had to be a legitimate business. I filed paperwork with the state. I became an LLC. So I took my time filing all my paperwork and to become a legitimate business. A couple things happened all at the same time. My dad, who was in his 80s at that time, was in declining health, and we didn't know how much longer he had to live. Then the company I was working for decided to send my job to the Philippines, and I had a couple other jobs lined up. And I was talking it over with my dad, and he said, why don't you take the severance package, and maybe we can sell firewood together, and you can take care of me. So I talked it over with my family, you know, my sister and her family too, and then that was the decision. So I took a step away from my career to take care of my dad. And the plan was when he were to pass, I would just go back to my real job. My dad wound up living a little bit longer than what we were all expecting, and that was great. I got to spend a lot of time with him, and we would load up the truck and we would drive out and buy firewood and bring it home. He would go with me on deliveries, and I would take his lawn chair with him, and he would sit while we did it. So we got to spend a lot of time together. The plan always was when Dad were to pass, I would just go back to my day job. But while Dad and I were doing this firewood thing, the next thing I know, you know, the business is growing, and I'm up to 4, 5, 6, I was up to 11 restaurants. Dad passed away in October, and I just want you to know, he's a very good man. My dad was honest, a gentleman. He was a hard worker. He grew up poor. He was a son of a preacher in West Virginia, and he said he learned the 3 R's: reading, writing, and Route 250 to Ohio. And he moved up to Ohio and worked in the steel mills for 46 years, and he retired very comfortably. And that man earned everything in life that he ever got. He had nothing given to him. And that work ethic that he had, you know, went into his kids. And I think that's what you see in everything that I do with my firewood has come from him. Dad was an Army veteran. He was in Korea right after the war, and he had 2 hats that he wore. He wore his VFW Post 2662 Warren, Ohio, and that was the hat he was buried in. His other hat that he wore is what I have in my videos. He would wear this hat with him on the deliveries, and I just keep it in the truck, and I wear this in my videos, and I take it on delivery, so Dad's always with me. I was really fortunate though. I did have a really good childhood. Both my mom and my dad, they were just great parents, and they taught all of us, you know, what it means to be a parent and a supportive spouse. So here was my decision. I had 13 restaurants in a growing company, and I was faced with going back to my real job, or I can keep selling firewood. I talked it over with my wife, and we decided that we're having too much fun selling firewood. So I don't make anywhere near the money I used to make, all right? But I'm having so much fun right now. One of the things I learned about moving away from corporate life is it's expensive to have a job. You know, all of the clothes that you have to have a car to drive there, the gas. I was spending probably $300 a month in gas just to drive to work, $10 a day for lunch, and those start to add up. So when you start working in this kind of lifestyle, really your expenses go down. So if I'm making less money now than what I used to, I'm not missing it. I think back on my corporate days, and I think of, you know, Joe, you're at a 0.2 and you got to get at a 0.4 or you're not going to get your bonus. And if I ever dream about going back to my real job, maybe that day will come again. But you know what? In the meantime, guys, I got me a Yappa 365 Pro. I have got Dolmar chainsaws. I got dump trailers and a super splitter. And I got a family that I love. I got everything that I want. Why would I want to go back and work a corporate job again? So that's my story, guys. I just never saw myself as anyone interesting. The way that the business has taken off and then this channel, I at least wanted to let you know that, you know, that there's substance there. I'm not just a 2-dimensional cartoon character. And really, you know, that goes for everyone that you see on YouTube. And I think what has been such a joy is I'm starting to get to know people and getting to see, you know, just how nice that this firewood community is. We got some really cool channels on YouTube with firewood, and you know, they range from just showing the daily grind all the way to that emotional connection that we all have with firewood. What I'm trying to do is just show that a simple guy from Ohio can make a living doing something that he's passionate about. I would love to hear your comments, so please put them down below. I want to thank everyone again for 1,000 subs. Are you serious? I think that is just so exciting. Thanks a lot for subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video as well. Everyone, have a great day.